Hey everyone, welcome back to I Read Black Books. In this video, I'll be sharing some recommendations of books by Black authors that feature Black witches, wizards, and warlocks. It's something we don't see enough of in media, even though historically, Black people have deep roots in magic and witchcraft. We've practically been born with it, and many of us still practice forms of magic today, whether it's hoodoo, Vodou, or even pagan witchcraft. So if you're looking for stories that reflect that power, I've got some great ones here for you. And before we get started, please make sure you check content warnings for each book mentioned in this video before reading. Witches Steeped in Gold by Cian and Smart is book one in a two-book series about two enemy witches who have come together to take down a deadly enemy. One witch has spent her entire life in prison since she was a child, and her family's legacy was stolen by the other witch's family. And this other witch has spent her entire life in luxury and reaping the benefits of the stolen magic. Because of that, the two witches are sworn enemies but realize that they have to work together to take down this evil queen that will ultimately destroy both of their worlds. This is a young adult book series, and there's a little romance subplot, but it doesn't take away too much from the main storyline. Book one leaves off in kind of a cliffhanger, and book two, Empress Crowned in Red, it picks up right where book one left off. And both books should be available wherever you get books from. The Insipidity script series by Nnedi Okorafor is a young adult trilogy that focuses on a young albino girl named Sunny, who is American-born living in Nigeria. She finds it hard to fit in even with her peers, but then discovers that she has latent magical powers that lead her to a group of kids just like her, who together begin learning how to use their powers and how to change reality. But then they are tasked with catching the evil criminal who is hunting and unaliving people like them. Don't let the age level of this series fool you because Nnedi Okorafor writes this like she writes adult fiction. I couldn't put these books down. They are so full of culture, magic, thrill, and suspense you won't even notice that you're reading a young adult book. Again, there are three books in this series, with Akata Warrior being book two and Akata Woman being book three, and they are all available wherever you get your books from. Next is Isa Igwe by Shanna Miles, and this is a recent book. It just came out a few weeks ago. This is a cute story about a young witch who is also a conduit for unruly ghosts who often take over her body and act and speak through her. After one too many possessions, including one that made her run out into traffic, her parents send her away to a witch reform school where, after a tragic event occurs, she begins to explore darker magic, which leads her to discovering her new school is hiding an old evil secret. And this one's also a children's slash middle grade book, but it's a very fun and easy to read and very enjoyable for all ages. Root Magic by Eden Royce is also a children's slash middle grade book, but it goes deep into the harsh realities of living in the Jim Crow South and the history and importance of the Gullah Geechee community. It takes place in South Carolina, and the story follows a young girl as she and her twin brother navigate the loss of their grandmother, who was a well-known root worker and healer, school, and the harassments to their family by the local deputy. With the help of their uncle, who is the infamous Doc Buzzard, they begin to learn and apply the folk magic that has been the legacy of their family for generations. I really enjoyed this story. It's written in a way that's not too kiddie and not so woke that it takes away from the magical realism of the story itself. The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson is one of my favorite books of all time. I think this one may be categorized as young adult, but do not be fooled. This book is dark. It is occult horror. It's about a biracial girl living in an all-white Puritan society. She's subjected to this life of conformity, devotion, and absolute submission. But after a trip inside of the forbidden dark woods surrounding the township, she discovers that she comes from a line of darkness, and this darkness will change her forever. This book is dark and gloomy and gothic, so if you're looking for those vibes, then this book is definitely the one that you want to read. Next, I have To Aster with Love by Amanda Weaver. This book takes place in America in the year 2022. A vampire is president, drugs are legal, and witches are real. A warlock and his friends are on the run from vampires, cops, and aggressive frat boys, and they're headed to a safe haven of witches after making a powerful enemy. This book is fun and fast paced, and it reminds me of one of those CW supernatural slash the originals type shows. It ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, but the story definitely continues in her second book, To Alaris in Desperation, which is also available wherever you purchase your books. In the House of Transcendence is also by Amanda Weaver, and this book is about a necromancer who is looking to start a new life and joins up with the coven of witches in Savannah, Georgia. A particularly powerful witch offers this necromancer a proposition, which is a job as a burlesque dancer at a magical nightclub and a free place to stay in exchange for learning how to control her powers and also helping this witch solve her lover's unaliving. Conjure Women by Afia Atakora was a very talked about book when it was first released. It was very highly anticipated. And it's a story about a mother and a daughter who share the ability to heal others, but also the ability to conjure curses and cause fear among the townsfolk. It's hard to explain what this book is actually about without possibly spoiling it, but it's written very well and it's told in multiple points of view across various moments in time, and it comes together really well. Black Candle Women by Diane Marie Brown was also a very highly talked about and anticipated book when it was first released. And it's about a generation of women under a family curse. Three sisters and a daughter live together they keep to themselves, practice hoodoo, and don't have love lives for a very specific reason. They're under a generational curse where any person a woman in the family falls in love with will unalive. This was all good until the daughter brings home her new boyfriend. I really enjoyed this book, but a lot of people really did not. And all I can say is make your own decisions when deciding whether or not to read this book. Don't let the ratings fool you. I thought it was really good. If you've been waiting on me to recommend some books with some spice, then here we go. The Maidenhair Coven series is one for the Kindle girlies too because it's free to read on Kindle Unlimited. Okay, so think of the movie Practical Magic, but make all the characters black. That's exactly what you get in the Maidenhair Coven series. And in book one, The Talk of Dreams by Simone Sims, a southern witch inherits her grandmother's home and wants to turn it into a bed and breakfast. She needs a contractor, and being known as the witch in a small town, nobody wants to work for her. The only person who applies is the son of her family's oldest enemy, and even though there's bad blood between him and her, their chemistry and mutual attraction seem destined. And book two, Case of the Hex, follows the sister of the witch in book one. And she is a witch as well. And a few years ago, she had a one night stand. And fast forward to the present, years later, he shows up as a guest at the bed and breakfast that she works at with her sister. And although they aren't the same two people they were when they first hooked up, the sparks flying between them make it hard for them to resist continuing what they started years before. She's reluctant at first, but he is determined to wear her down. Again, these books have a little spice, but it doesn't take away from the story or the plot, and they are available to read for free with Kindle Unlimited. Next is a small town romance series focusing on a family of witches, and the first book in the series is Witchful Thinking. It's about a witch who teaches high school by day and spends her nights reading tea leaves and gardenings and feels like her life can be more, but she's afraid to take risks. But somehow she casts a spell against herself and now she can't say no to anything. And on top of that, her high school crush moves in next door and he asks her to unjinx his house, in which of course she can't say no, but realizes the spell could actually be a good thing now. And also, said neighbor is a merman, and both characters are black. In Kiss and Spell, a witch no longer believes in magic after she was publicly left at the altar on her wedding day. She tucks her tail between her legs and returns home and works at a local metaphysical store. And one day she meets this fey prince who doesn't believe in true love, and he is cursed with being exiled from the fairy realm forever if he doesn't find true love's kiss by Midsummer. They agree to help each other out, but they have a tough time trying to keep their mutual attraction to each other at bay. In Deja Brew, a witch loses her magic and her career. On Halloween night, she makes a wish for a second chance to fix her life, and when she wakes up the next morning, it's October 1st again. She realizes she has another chance to make things right in her life again, and she enlists the help of the town's reality star slash magician to help her get her magic back. And as the month continues, she finds herself falling more and more for him. Black Witch by L.L. Farmer is book 4 of the Warrior Slave novel series, but I promise you it's not what it seems. You have to read books 1 through 3 first, but I promise it's worth it because this is such a great book series. In this particular book, the main character, who is a demon hunter, is called to assist with a police case where the victim's body is drained completely of blood. You would think it was vampires who did it, but no. So it's up to the demon hunter to find out who did it, and soon, because the victim is possibly a witch and has a coven who is out for revenge. So again, this book is a part of a series of, I think there's 6 books out now, and they each follow Nima, a demon hunter was born in the 1800s, but when she became a demon hunter, she became immortal as well. The book series is told in mostly the present times, but it's told across multiple points in time as well. And even as a demon hunter, she often refers to them for help in her cases in the present. Available with Kindle Unlimited. The Women Could Fly by Megan Giddings is a dystopian novel set in a futuristic world where women could still be put on trial for witchcraft. A woman is grappling with the disappearance of her mother, who was possibly a witch. And now this is directly affecting her future and her freedom because in this world, she must marry by age 30 or be subjected to being monitored for the rest of her life. And honestly, this is one that I keep stopping and picking back up and stopping again, but I am determined to finish this one before the end of the year. Now, this is one I cannot wait to talk about. Tinderbox by W.A. Simpson is book 1 of the Tales from the Riven Isle series. It's an adult epic fantasy series and it features a witch named Isbeth who finds her grandmother, a witch as well, unalived and her grandmother's most prized possession, a magic tinderbox, stolen. Isbeth thinks she knows who committed the crime and plans to infiltrate his organization and unalive him, but the problem is he is very high ranking in the realm. This book was so good, and I'm so glad that it was adult level. There is some spice and a bit of a love story that takes place between 2 black characters, but it doesn't focus too much on it or take away from the main story, which is excellently written. If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings or like Dungeons and Dragons, that type of stuff, then this is the book for you. Not only do we get black witches, we get black warlocks and dwarves and fae as well. I love books with a beautiful cover, but it wasn't even this cover that got me at first. I actually picked up book 2 and was about to take it home when I realized that I needed to get book 1 first. And just wait till you see this cover of book 2. I'm gonna give y'all a moment. Just take all of that melanin in. Book 2, Tarotmancer, takes place in the same world as book 1, but focuses on new characters. It's about a tarot card reader who finds herself caught up with a thief, and they both end up in the underneath where they face a hideous evil that feeds on hatred. And in order to get out, they have to commit devious acts for this entity. Again, this is an adult epic fantasy series, and again, there is some spice and a little bit of a love story, but it doesn't focus too much on the love story and more on the epic adventure in each book. I, Tituba, the Black Witch of Salem by Maurice Condé is a historical fictional take on the story of the not so well known Black Witch of the Salem witch trials. Yes, there was rumored to be a Black witch accused of witchcraft in Salem, Massachusetts in the 1600s. I didn't know that either. And in some circles, they say she was indigenous, other circles say she was of Latin descent, but apparently this is well known in a lot of circles. This book is translated from the author's original language and is her own fictional historical retelling of Tituba's early life and how she became, or how she becomes, the infamous but forgotten Black witch accused of witchcraft in 1692. This book is wildly entertaining, but contains many trigger warnings, so please read cautiously. Voodoo Dreams by Drew Parker Rhodes is another historical fictional retelling, and this is her take on the story of the legendary Marie Laveau as she grows up in Louisiana and she's continuously searching for her mother and learning voodoo secrets that her grandmother refused to teach her. It starts off with her childhood and then it goes into her adulthood where she's still searching for her mother but ends up in New Orleans where she runs into a voodoo doctor who teaches her what her grandmother would not teach her about voodoo. He manipulates her and he terrifies her, and ultimately it's because of him that she becomes what she is known well for today. Again, this is a historical fictional retelling straight from the author's perception of Marie Laveau. For the nonfiction readers, I have two recommendations that explore witchcraft while being Black. Blood, Sex, Magic, Everyday Magic for the Modern Mystic is book one. And in this book, the author uses her African and Mexican indigenous roots to honor the traditions of nature, root working, tarot reading, and ancestral veneration. In this book are a lot of spells and incantations, stories, and daily rituals. And this collection of spells, stories, and very beautiful images show us how to tap into our magic, and it encourages us to see the magic in the world around us everywhere. And here I'm doing just a little flip through of just all of the beautiful images and information in this book. So it's a very detailed book and a great book to have on your coffee table if you're into that. Portal of Light by Janine Dioya is an extensive study of Wicca and magic from an African American perspective. I've never enjoyed a nonfiction book as much as I enjoyed this one. This book opened my eyes to so much. It not only addresses pagan witchcraft and the Black community, but it also addresses what Wicca and paganism actually is. And it goes over in depth the various African traditional religions there are as well. This is a great educational resource for beginner witches or people who want to know more about witchcraft. This book is so detailed. It has incantations, affirmations, spells. It even has a book of shadows. She goes over moon cycles, like everything. This book is full of so much information and is perfect for Black people looking to explore magic. So, those are all of my Black book recommendations featuring Black witches, wizards, and warlocks. That's not all the books, and I'm pretty sure I'll think of some more. But if you have any recommendations for me or any that I missed, please leave them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.